Welcome to the Masterclass on PydanticAI, a new framework for building AI agents. In this Masterclass, we're learning about the core features of PydanticAI and how to build effective agents using simple Python code. We aim to hit all key features of the framework with plenty of examples, so by the end of this, you have the confidence and knowledge to build your own agents. Today, we're taking a detailed look at how to make your agentic flows a lot more resilient and error-free. PydanticAI supports reflection and self-correction through the Retries parameter passed at agent runs, tools, and result validator functions. We've already covered this in a previous video, so I won't go in much detail here. But today, we're specifically looking into ways in which model errors can be dealt with or bypassed, and agent self-reflection can be used to build stronger flows. Before we start though, let's examine key agent design patterns and how self-reflection can help your next agent app. In this diagram, we'll see that there are a number of key design patterns. And the one at the top left is reflection. That's one of the patterns we're going to focus on today. Agent reflection, the LLM examines its own outputs and looks for errors. If there is an error, then either fix the error or bypass the error through mechanisms, which I'll also show you in the examples. The other design patterns are tool usage, planning, and multi-agent collaboration. We've covered these patterns in other videos, so I won't go into much detail. Now, let's take a look at couple of design patterns for agent self-reflection. The first way, the classical agent self-reflection works like this. There's an input from the user that goes to the LLM. The LLM does either a task breakdown or a planning phase and perhaps uses a set of tools. Now, if either the LLM or the tools kick out an error message, then the agent can go through a self-reflection mode and try to alleviate the errors or fix the errors. That's one of the classical ways of self-reflection. In this phase, the agent can also inspect the outputs and determine whether they are the correct output. So there's an opportunity, A, to fix errors, B, to bypass errors, and 3, to look for the correctness of the answers. So that's the phase at the bottom left where the label is self-reflect. Okay, so that's the first pattern for agent self-reflection. But here's another way that this could work, and that's through a second agent. In the first design pattern, the single agent takes care of the self-reflection. But in this pattern, you could add a second agent whose only job would be to inspect the outcomes from the first agent and to act as a reviewer or correcting agent. This is another design pattern widely used. It can present with opportunities for better handling of errors as well as agent edge cases. So in this diagram, the task or the user provides input, the main agent tries to solve the problem, and the response is passed to a reflecting agent. Now the reflecting agent then would do a fact checking or error checking, and then if there is anything wrong with it, either would fix it or pass the input back to the main agent. So that's another design pattern that is being used for agent self-reflection. Now let's move on to design patterns that we can use to alleviate errors. The first design pattern is the tool bypassing. We, as a user, provide an input in step 1 to the LLM. The LLM calls the tool and the tool responds with an error. The error could be for whatever reason. We are going to see a couple of examples on this later. But suppose that there is an error in step 3. The error is then returned to the LLM, and the LLM may choose to retry a couple of times as the retries parameter is supported in PydanticAI. But if it continues to receive the error, then at some point the LLM can choose to bypass the tool and go straight to its own answer. So imagine a scenario where there's a tool that calculates something and the calculations are not correct. Then the LLM may choose to either do the calculations by itself or to bypass the calculations and provide the answer where the calculations are not included. So that may also be an acceptable answer. This would provide a more resilient user flow and better user experience. Now let's take a look at the second pattern, which may be more interesting. Instead of bypassing the tool altogether, we're adding a new LLM. So if the first LLM, the main LLM, is unable to solve the problem or is facing errors, then it could choose to use a second LLM. Again, we have an example for this. We're going to start using with GPT-4o Mini. And if the GPT-4o Mini model is not solving our problem, then we're going to switch over to a Grok model. In this diagram, the user sends their input to the LLM. Then the LLM calls the tool kicks in an error, and this could either be done in parallel, so either calling the tool or just getting the error by itself. In step 3, after the error, instead of continuing the retry loops, then we switch over to a different model. So this different model then provides us the answer. So that's another model bypassing pattern. These are some of the design patterns in which we can make our agent flows more resilient. Before we start the coding tutorial, let me tell you about the new school program that I've started. It's an exclusive community of learners that are united around one mission to learn AI and AI software development, as well as starting and growing an AI agency. We have a community board with multiple topics, and in the classroom, you'll find videos that are exclusive to the school community. We'll have the full versions of all the PydanticAI Masterclass videos along with the source code. In the calendar section, you'll see our meeting schedule. So we meet twice weekly, where you can ask any questions and either I or a member of the community can help. We have leaderboards, and it's a great opportunity for the community to come together and learn AI. I highly recommend you check it out, and I hope to see you there. Today, we'll work on 5 examples, starting with a simple hello world, then moving on to more complex examples. To keep the video concise, I'll cover the first example in full detail, while the rest will be available in the extended version. Okay, let's dive in. In this Hello World example, we're going to build an agent that will use a tool with SQL access. For this, we're going to use SQLite, and we're going to import our libraries. We're going to start by using async.io as well as the SQLite libraries. All of these dependencies will be in the requirements.txt, so you can just install them by pip install -r requirements.txt. Once we import our library, we're going to load our environment variables, and then we're going to define our model. For today, we're going to rely on GPT-4o Mini. After that, we're going to define our output model class. We're going to create a simple patient class with a patient ID, email, full name, and year born. This is what we're going to be storing in the database table. SQLite is a simple local database. It's a SQL database, so we're going to create a simple table, create a couple of rows, and then retrieve them by email. Okay, so let's define our agent now. The agent definition will use the model, and the system prompt will be your helpful medical assistant retrieve the medical record by the email provided. Here's our tool definition. We're going to use retries equal to 3. Again, we covered the retry parameter earlier, but here, if the tool is unable to find a patient, it will retry a total of 3 times. Docstring here is get a patient's record from their email. And here's our asynchronous method. We're going to create a cursor. We're going to pass the connection in our dependencies. If you need help with using dependencies or how the dependency injection works, please watch previous videos in this series. I cover dependency injection in a separate module. But here, we're going to create SQLite connection and pass that as part of the run context. We're going to retrieve it from the run context on line 29. And with that, we're going to execute a query. The SQL query is very simple. Select star from patients where email is equal to the email passed, which is the second dependency that we're going to pass. And if it's not able to find it, we're going to throw a value error. This is a choice that you can make. You can throw a value error, and in this case, we're throwing a patient with this email cannot be found. Or you can throw a model retry error in which you would tell the model to retry with something else. We'll see an example of that later on. I purposely throw a value error so that cut the execution at that point. The next method is seed database. And in this method, we're going to drop the table if it exists. We're going to create a new patients table, and we're going to populate it with 3 rows of mock user data. John Doe, Jane Doe, and Jim Doe. Here's our asynchronous main method. We need to use asynchronous method because we have database operations here. And the first thing we do on line 46 is we are seeding our database. This is a local SQLite database. So we will delete these rows and recreate them on every execution. Nothing will be stored. You can definitely extend this and make it production ready with any database you like. SQL, NoSQL, cloud, or on-prem, doesn't matter. But for this example, I chose SQLite because it's easy to work with. All right, let's continue. We have our try catch block. And in our try method, we are running result is equal to await agent.run. Retrieve the patient record for jim@gmail.com. That's our prompt. And we want our modeled LLM to extract the email, pass it to the tool along with the connection information, use the tool, retrieve the medical record for this patient, and return it as a structured Pydantic model. If any of the value error or exceptions are thrown, we're just going to print them on the terminal and basically cut the operations at that point. That's our very small script. It's about 50 lines. Now let's open a terminal in Visual Studio Code, clear it, and run Python 10.1 hello world.py, and let's see how our first execution will work. We see that patient with email jim@gmail.com was not found. All right. So let's go ahead and examine our SQLite database and see what users we have. If you don't have the SQLite extension, I highly recommend you install it. Just navigate to your Visual Studio extensions and search for SQLite in the extension marketplace. I already have it installed, so you will see that I have uninstall and disable. But if you haven't installed it yet, you will see the install button. Just go ahead, hit install. It's a very small extension. It's a very popular extension. It has over 3 million downloads. So it's a reliable extension. Install that, and that will allow us to manipulate tables and look at the tables and run queries later on. Once you have the extension installed, then find the database file called patients.sqlite, right click on it and say open database. And once you hit open database, you can then see the tables and click open table. And this is our table called patients. So as you can see in the patients table on the right, we have 3 rows of data: john@gmail.com, jane@gmail.com, and james@gmail.com. But we do not have jim@gmail.com. So that is a problem, and that's why we faced the issue earlier. It could not find this particular patient. Yes, so if we examine our test data, there's nothing that says jim@gmail.com. And since we're running an equal query, so the email address must be equal to that, it was not able to find that. As you can see, we have james@gmail.com. So let's change our input for our agent from jim@gmail.com to james@gmail.com and rerun our query. And sure enough, this time it works. We display the results in green. The patient record comes as a Pydantic class, which is with patient ID 3, email is james@gmail.com, and full name is Jim Doe, and year born is 1990. So we do have access to a proper record. This is our test data. You can change it, you can manipulate it, you can add more table, you can drop table. Let's try with Jane. And as we can see, we are also able to retrieve the data for Jane Doe. So clearly, you can change the language in the input that is passed to the agent, and our LLM will be able to extract the email and the connection, pass it to our tool, and our tool will perform the SQL query. Now, I want to stress out that this example has a lot of applicability to many different domains. We just used a medical example, but the same logic will apply to any customer service representative agent scenario. For example, a Shopify store, it could be a website sales assistant, it could be a lead generation assistant. Anywhere that you need to have access to a database, you can pass in information such as an email address, user ID, or any other identifying information in the SQL query, as we just saw. And then your SQL tools would then retrieve the data and pass them back to the agent for enriched context, or just return them to the user. Okay, so that was our first Hello World example. Now let's move on. Self-reflection and error bypassing provides two ways in which agents can become more resilient. PydanticAI provides retries parameters to enable multiple runs at the agent level, at the tool level, and at the results validation functions level. In addition to that, the capture_run_messages method provides a utility to inspect the running messages so that you can glean a lot of information from that array. Using these two methods, your agents will handle model and tool errors more gracefully, providing an enhanced user experience. Next time, we'll look into ways how to enhance the overall user experience with streaming outputs in PydanticAI. That's another exciting topic because streaming is so cool. A lot of systems use it and it gives the user the impression that it's answering a lot faster, while in reality, the actual speed is probably the same, but the user gets the impression that the system works a lot faster. So it's a really good way to integrate into agent flows with user interfaces. But for today, this is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you learned something new and how to build more resilient agents with self-reflection. If you get value from this series, please consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you and see you in the next one.